In this video I will show you how to create this winter stream overlay yourself and how to use it. That means you will first learn how I created and built the overlay and then how to set it up in OBS to get the most out of your overlays. So let's get started. The creation of the overlay is done completely in ProCreate. Of course, as always, feel free to use other apps or programs as well. Let's start with the layout. In the upper left corner the main video will be shown later, either the facecam or the screen capture. Therefore I place a rectangle with the ratio 16:9 there. On the right of it the chat will be shown at the end. Below that the current subscribers, followers and donations as well as the sub goal will be displayed later. For the perfect arrangement of all the panels, I use a layer as an assist object to keep all the spacing the same. I color the faces blue in the following process, simply to better see what I'm drawing around them. But this isn't visible later and serves only as a help. Now it is time to create a sketch. I orientate myself on a very Christmas-like motif. So I draw a street lamp, a present, bells, a bow, skis and lanterns. Of course the snow must not be missing. A sketch, by the way, is also only for orientation and is not there from the beginning to determine how your work must look in the end. That means, for example, that later I change the lantern on the right in the chat window into ski poles. Just let your creativity run free. Now it's time to create the overlay. I start with the street lamp. It consists of several layers, all with clipping masks. Those clipping masks contain lighter and darker colors, which were blurred with the help of the Gaussian blur to create a 3D effect. In the upper part of the street lamp I add a color gradient inside the lamp. To the right of the street lamp I also add a sign on which I later write live. This gives the overlay a nice touch. The street lamp should also be stuck in the snow. For this I first draw this snow pile in white and then add a clipping mask. Using airbrush and the Gaussian blur I add light blue areas here. Then I use the carbon charcoal brush to create a snowy texture. The color is a little darker here. Be careful not to press too hard though. On the bottom right I want to draw a gift. First I draw the individual sides of the gift, fill them with color and then come to the bow. For the side parts of the bow I pre-draw the bow only once and then duplicate it. You can then shape the duplicates accordingly. With the loop on the gift I have struggled a bit. But here it helps if you just look for reference images from the real world to get the light shading right. Once you're done with the gift, it's time for the bow on the top right. For this one I also used a real world image as a reference to create a very real looking bow. Here too I first sketched out all the parts of the bow and then worked with several clipping masks. Now the bells follow. I create these just like the bow. So again, I look for a reference image to get the shading right and just start drawing. Here's where you can save yourself a lot of time by just duplicating the one bell and lining it up accordingly, rather than drawing a second one. Now for the Christmas balls. These should hang from these green ropes. As they come out from under the bells cast a shadow on the ropes. By the way, the balls themselves also cast a shadow on each other. In the background, I want to create a woody frame. Therefore, I add a brown layer and go over it with the wood brush. Therefore, I use a darker shade of brown. Now it's time for the chat area. Here I create the frame first. Once the outline of the wood is done, I add the snowy areas. Then it's on to the corners. To make them look a little special, I create metal corners. Just copy my shading. I have not been able to find any references for these. Just create a corner and copy it for each corner. Now add the decoration of the chat area. On the left, I create skis, and on the right, spontaneous ski poles. These consist of simple shapes and different clipping masks. Here it was important to me not to add too much detail, so as not to lose the cartoony look of the overlay. First, draw one ski, copy it and arrange the second one to fit. Then let some snow run over the skis. To make the snow layer blend with the other, use the blur tool. Then the ski poles. Again, draw one first, copy the second, and then add snow. Once you're done with that, we can turn to the bottom part of the overlay. Let's start with the lantern on the left. For this one, I first create one side, then copy it and arrange the copies so that the whole thing forms a three-dimensional body. The cool thing about these sides is the dirty glass, which is created by a low visibility layer. For the texture, I use the black wood brush. The roof of the lantern are simply different layers with clipping masks, very similar to the street lamp from the beginning. Now to add the candle inside the lantern. Add the inner walls of the lantern first if you haven't already. The candle is simply a red rectangle with a gradient that is brighter the closer to the flame it is. The flame itself is made to glow by me duplicating the flame layer and softening the flame behind. Next, it's onto the boxes themselves. These get a dark woody look and classy gray bars around the edges. Again, create a box and duplicate it for the other boxes. For the right box, the metal beams need to be adjusted accordingly. To do this, simply mask the left and right side pieces and move them closer together and push the beams together from the top and bottom. So that these still have round corners, draw new lines with round corners under these beams and change the colored beams into a clipping mask. Now add some snow. Then it's time for the background. For this, I trace the mountains of this image from pixabay.com and add some nice water at the bottom. I simply treat the mountains like the snow in the overlay. Here it's not particularly important to create much texture and fine details, since there won't be much of this image left to see later. Add a nice gradient of the sky in the background and the image can be inserted into the overlay. Here I add a dark blue, very transparent layer to take some focus off the background. I also apply a light Gaussian blur to the background layer and a slightly stronger blur effect to the area of the chat. Now all that's left is to add the text. For this I write everything in capital letters and use the impact font in white. And with that the overlay is ready. Before exporting you have to define what should be in the foreground and what should be in the background and merge the layers. Export the two layers and you're done. Now we continue in OBS. Create a new scene and add your two images. Between the images you can place, for example, the monitor shot or the face cam. So just add a new source, select the appropriate device and you are done. Then resize the source accordingly. Crop it if necessary and place it under the top image. To display the chat, we go to the Streamlabs website. Here you can register for free. Once you are logged in, go to All Widgets and select the chat box. You can customize it here to your liking. I have customized mine like this. Copy the widget URL and add a browser source in OBS. Enter the link you just copied. Then you need to customize your chat box so that it fits perfectly in the designated area. I choose a width of 400 pixels and a height of 900 pixels. I limit the height in the following by cropping the box on the screen itself. To do this, hold down the Alt key and drag the top of the browser source down so that it fits perfectly in the designated area. Now when I write in the chat, what I write will be displayed here like this. To view the latest follower, subscriber or donation, we go back to the Streamlabs website. Here we first go to the Widgets tab and then Stream Labels. Download the application for your operating system, install it and log in with your Streamlabs ID. The program stores all the donations, followers and subscribers you get and records this in corresponding text files that we can then integrate into OBS. Therefore, it is very important that you choose a location here that you can remember. Now go to the settings. Here you can see all kinds of different statistics, from top donator to cheers. We will limit ourselves to 3 categories here. First, let's select the most recent follower. Here I change the default text to welcome and then the name of the user. Don't forget to press save. The second thing to do is the most recent subscriber. Here I change the text by adding the length of the subscription after the name. And the third one is the most recent donation. Here I also change the text to thank you, user's name, for and how much was donated. Press save again and restart the session to apply the changes. In OBS you can now include these statistics as follows. Since I haven't received any subs or donations on my Twitch channel yet, I will show you how to do it using the followers as an example. Go to the plus icon and create a new text source. Select Read from Files and look for the appropriate file, in this case, most recent follower. Now adjust the font. I choose the impact font and you are done. Now you can resize the text to fit into the field you want to use. To make the whole text readable, we now want to animate it. To do this, right-click on the text and select Filter. Add the scroll effect here and change the horizontal speed to 100. Oh, and if necessary, adjust the text in the Streamlabs application again, so that a gap is inserted after the username. In order that the size of the text field doesn't change with a very large or very small name, you can limit the width of the field. In this case, I use a width of 1500 pixels. Repeat this process for the other two fields and you're done. But wait, one field is still missing. To set your sub goal, just create a simple text field. Enter your goal, for example 50 subs, and customize it. Then you have to arrange the field and you're done. Now you have created your own stream overlay. The next step is to add alerts. If you don't want to miss out on the upcoming video, feel free to subscribe, and if the video is already out, you can find it here on the right. I hope you liked the video. I would be very happy about a like. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye!